Hey my loves, I'm back with another response to the tag Top Tarot Trumps that was started by lovely Marsha of Musings by Marsha. We are currently up to Strength, which is 8 or 11, depending what system that you use. So I'm going to be showing 5 examples of my favorite Strength cards from different decks. I've actually been really excited about getting up to Strength because there's a particular story that I think made the card Strength really click for me, and it's this story. So we are beginning again with an oracle card, not a tarot card. Sorry, not sorry. This is, and forgive any mispronunciations, this is Thecla. So you can see in this deck, and this is from the Divine Feminine Oracle, she's designated as the prophetess of true power, and her affirmation is, I call my power back from all times and all places. I am my own. So in this story, she is still considered a saint in some parts or some types of Christianity. But basically, she followed the Apostle Paul. A lot of her stories are from the Apocrypha. She's depicted here with a lioness because in one of the stories about her, she was sentenced to death for, trying to live the life of an apostle. And her death sentence was to be thrown into an arena full of wild animals. And when she gets thrown into this arena, the lionesses protect her from the lions, so she's completely unharmed. She also throws herself into a lake that's full of really aggressive seals, and the seals all get electrocuted when she baptizes herself. Anyway, point being, because she was so devoutly religious and so secure in her path and in knowing what she wanted to do and what path she wanted to follow, all she had to do was maintain her faith, and she was divinely protected. So she's not fighting this lion. Strength isn't to do with our physical strength or our ability to be aggressive or to fight things off. It's to do with kindness. So what I see here is that she is being kind to this lion, and to do with security in ourselves and authenticity to ourselves and to our own paths. So I think it's that kind of idea of authenticity and that kindness that I really take from this story. Of course, there are some things about her story that I don't agree with. For instance, a lot of the time she's really held up as an example of chastity and virginity and things like that, which is not, in keeping with my worldview generally. But I think there are still things that we can all take from that particular story. So the first tarot card that I wanted to show is this one from the White Numen Tarot. And in this card, it really reminds me of the story of Thecla. So we have this figure kind of embracing this tiger, which normally we would have a lion on the strength card, but it's just been replaced with a tiger. And showing it kindness, kissing it, holding its face, not being afraid of it. So this is representing being kind and embracing those things that might seem kind of scary or dangerous, and how that can be a really beautiful thing to do. So it might be a part of ourselves that we're not sure about, we fear, embracing it with love and with kindness. We have the floral kind of elements all around, displaying that kind of delicate, kind aspect of this card, which I really love. The idea here being that facing things we're afraid of with kindness instead of fear is probably the meaning of strength. So the next one is from, of course, the Fyodor Pavlov Tarot. And here we've got our central character again, but this time embracing more of a kind of canine creature rather than a lion. And in the guidebook for this one, it's described that this is a werewolf. And the author actually goes into quite a bit of detail about werewolf stories from around the world. The idea of this card is that it's showing the act of loving the kind of wild or bestial parts of ourselves as humans, that there are parts of ourselves which are kind of forbidden or socially frowned upon, and that rather than shying away from those emotions or impulses, that we can kind of embrace them instead. Something else that I find interesting about this card is there's quite a history of allegory between monster stories and stories about queer experience. A lot of queer people find that they can relate to, for instance, werewolf stories. So that adds another little layer of possible interpretations depending on who's reading and who they're reading for. And then the other thing is that if we see it more as a dog and less as a wolf, we have that layer of the euphemism black dog that is quite a common one for depression or mental illness. So that's another possible interpretation, thinking about the embracing dark parts of ourselves or difficult parts of our experience, perhaps depression and things of that nature. Really, really gorgeous art, as always. The next one is from the Ethereal Visions Lunar Edition, and I just wanted to show it because I think it's a beautiful example of the impact that the posing of the subjects can really have. Because here we have these two, and they appear to just be working in such tandem together. It's like they're relaxed but powerful. So the lion is sitting under this person's right hand. So that's kind of like the euphemism right hand man. So while at this point in time, they're both relaxed together, at any time, this person could call upon this lion to do whatever is needed, you know? Could be aggression, could be anything else, but basically that this lion is here in service, not as something to fear, but as something to work together with, which again, just expanding on those themes from the past few cards, the idea of working together with the more sort of fearsome parts of ourselves or of our experiences, and seeing how can we, rather than fearing them, have them as our right-hand man or something that helps us. And as always with this deck, I really, really love the sort of Art Nouveau style that they've used. So this next one is from the Cosmic Tarot. And what I love about this one is that she's wearing this lion. So not in a sort of she's killed it and she's wearing its skin kind of gross way, but she has this sheet, or I don't know what you would call it, shroud that has the image of the lion on it that she's holding over herself and covering herself and protecting herself with, which I think is a really beautiful concept. So the more that I've been looking at this card and thinking about this card, the more that I think this would be a really good sort of like meditation prompt or just visualization exercise, perhaps if you're going into a situation that you're not sure about or that you're feeling a little fearful of. This idea of putting on the lion's energy seems really powerful, and I think that's a really wonderful way of looking at the strength card, that you're pulling the strength from within or from whatever source that you have. So the description in the guidebook is really short, but it does include this beautiful phrase, the determination to live, which I just think is such gorgeous phrasing. I know that I have had the experience of feeling that when it was relevant. I hope that each of you feels that determination when you need it. Maybe remember to put on the lion when you do. And finally, I wanted to show this card from the Ancient Egyptian Tarot. This is Sekhmet, and again, forgive any mispronunciations, but basically, as you can see, a lion-headed goddess from the Egyptian pantheon. And one thing I haven't mentioned yet in this video is the astrological association. So I know that at least in the RWS tradition, the strength card is associated with the sign of Leo, which is also associated with the sun astrologically. And I think that Sekhmet is a really good choice for this card because of that, because obviously we have the lion connection, but also the sun connection, being that she was a daughter of the sun god Ra. So in the myths about her, basically she got sent to Earth to destroy mortals who were conspiring against Ra. And she did that, and she was really, really good at it. And with all the murdering, she got a little bit bloodthirsty. She became kind of overwhelmed with bloodlust, and she nearly destroyed all of Egypt. And so the other gods, in order to stop that, they dyed a whole bunch of beer red, and they flooded a big area with it and made like a lake of beer that was red. And she thought it was blood and drank it. and got so drunk that she forgot about doing any more killings. Which, there are so many possible things that you could interpret from that story, I feel like. One of them is that vengeance can lead to bloodlust, which is really difficult to sate. So, it's a bit of a cautionary tale. I think you could also look into it that it's showing that our beastly side shouldn't be kind of left unchecked or left to its own devices. Otherwise, it can snowball and become overwhelming. So it's a part of ourselves that we should keep in touch with. But maybe the biggest lesson from that story is just beer. Like, everything can be fixed by a little occasional drunkenness, literally or metaphorically. Like, if you let all of your troubles be tomorrow's problem and just be completely free from your present state, that can calm anything that is raging inside of you. And I think that's probably the closest to the intended lesson, because apparently her temples had a celebration every year where they did exactly that. Just everyone got deliberately excessively drunk. And Wikipedia even tells me there was a designated porch of drunkenness in one of her temples. So I guess the beer one is, the closest to correct interpretation. Regardless, she was one of the most venerated deities in ancient Egypt, and she was often called on for protection from plague or disease. So I think she's a really wonderful choice for this card. Again, that idea of protection and balance with the kind of most bestial parts of ourselves. So those were my 5 favorite examples of the Strength card in different tarot decks and one Oracle deck. Thank you again to Marsha for starting this tag. Loving watching all the responses as usual. If you haven't already, do go and check out the tag and all the videos that are under it. There's lots of really beautiful examples of decks, and also great to hear everyone's interpretation of each different card. Subscribe if you're not, and if you are, thank you, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.